If what you have done yesterday still looks big to you, you haven't done much today. The most puzzling development in politics during the last decade is the apparent determination of Western European leaders to recreate the Soviet Union in Western Europe. I believe in the cosmos. All of us are linked to the cosmos. So nature is my God. To me, nature is sacred. Trees are my temples and forests are my cathedrals. Being at one with nature. Peace is not unity in similarity but unity in diversity, in the comparison and conciliation of differences. We had 10 years after the Cold War to build a new world order and yet we squandered them. The United States cannot tolerate anyone acting independently. Every U.S. president has to have a war. Americans have a severe disease, worse than AIDS. It's called the winner's complex. The ecological crisis, in short, is the population crisis. Cut the population by 90% and there aren't enough people left to do a great deal of ecological damage. One day we took each other by the hand and went for a walk in the evening. And we walked like that for our whole life. History teaches us, however, that when the times are ripe for change and the government refuses or is unable to change, either society starts to decay or a revolution begins. The market came with the dawn of civilization and it is not an invention of capitalism. If it leads to improving the well-being of the people, there is no contradiction with socialism. The market is not an invention of capitalism. It has existed for centuries. It is an invention of civilization. I don't think Russia is setting this as a goal. I don't think this should be Russia's goal. I think even the United States doesn't need to be a superpower. China doesn't need to be a superpower. It's a different world. There should be competition and exchanges between different countries, but there are certainly certain universal values, and that is freedom and democracy. You cannot put Russia down on its knees and hold it there because Russia will ultimately pull out. Jesus was the first socialist, the first to seek a better life for mankind. Every country should conduct its own reforms, should develop its own model, taking into account the experience of other countries, whether close neighbors or faraway countries. I think God has some mechanism that he uses to punish those that make mistakes. I say again that I am an atheist. I do not believe in God. We are not abandoning our convictions, our philosophy or traditions, nor do we urge anyone to abandon theirs. I believe, as Lenin said, that this revolutionary chaos may yet crystallize into new forms of life. The Soviet people want full-blooded and unconditional democracy. Sometimes when you stand face to face with someone, you cannot see his face. My life's work has been accomplished. I did all that I could. It seems that the most important thing about Reagan was his anti-communism and his reputation as a hawk who saw the Soviet Union as an evil empire. It is better to discuss things, to argue and engage in polemics than make perfidious plans of mutual destruction. What we need is star peace and not star wars. I paid too heavy a price for perestroika. More socialism means more democracy, openness and collectivism in everyday life. It would be naive to think that the problems plaguing mankind today can be solved with means and methods which were applied or seemed to work in the past. Sometimes it's difficult to accept, to recognize one's own mistakes, but one must do it. I was guilty of overconfidence and arrogance, and I was punished for that. A society should never become like a pond with stagnant water, without movement. That's the most important thing. What about Jesus Christ? I say that he was a precursor of idealists, a precursor of socialists. Democracy must learn to defend itself. Democracy is the wholesome and pure air without which a socialist public organization cannot live a full-blooded life. I think the environmental problem will be the #1 item on the agenda of the 21st century. This is a problem that cannot be postponed. If people don't like Marxism, they should blame the British Museum. I am a communist, a convinced communist. For some that may be a fantasy. But to me it is my main goal. The world will not accept dictatorship or domination. Political leaders still think things can be done through force, but that cannot solve terrorism. Backwardness is the breeding ground of terror, and that is what we have to fight. The market came with the dawn of civilization, and it is not an invention of capitalism. If it leads to improving the well-being of the people, there is no contradiction with socialism.